Hi guys, I'm back again with some more stories for you today. Let's go to the first one, about OP's entitled cousin. Listen to the end of the story to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So, I have a cousin, Kate. Kate has a brother, Jake, and Leanne is my sister. Beth is Leanne's twin, and Greg was Leanne's boyfriend at the time. I invited Leanne to come over to my place for holidays. Leanne asked me if she could bring some people with her, and I told her yes, thinking that she was talking about Greg. At the time, she didn't tell me exactly who. One day I was talking to my mom, and she told me that now as I was in good terms with Kate, I could look for a job for Kate and help her to move with me until she gets back on her feet. Or even better, I could offer a job to Kate as a cleaner. For the record, Kate hates me. She had proven so. My ex cheated on me with her. She badmouths me constantly, and so on. I asked my mom where the idea came from, and she said that Kate is coming to my place in a couple of months. I denied it, and by the dates, it was when Leanne was supposed to come. I called Leanne, and she denied it, so I told her that Jake is fine, but Kate is not welcome in my place. Then I called Beth, and Beth told me that Kate convinced Leanne to pay for the whole trip for her, and she already did, because she didn't want to pay for a trip that she was not sure if she is going to be able to make. Moreover, Kate convinced Leanne not to tell me anything and give me the surprise when they arrive. I told Beth the same. Kate is not welcome, and if they do something like that, Kate will need to find accommodations because she is not staying at my place. I don't know what happened at that point, but Leanne came only with Greg, and my mom was mad at me because I didn't host Kate. Wow, so OP's cousin hates OP, but doesn't mind stealing OP's boyfriend or tricking her into letting her live with OP. Cousin Kate is a manipulative bee and coerced Leanne into lying to OP and paying for Kate's vacation. OP's property, so OP's rules. And OP's mother needs to keep her nose out and opinions to herself, as it does not involve her. I'd cut contact with a lot of them for trying to manipulate this unwanted person into OP's life. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Excellent says, I would consider that with this conniving that was done, that maybe either Leanne is in cahoots with Kate or is a pushover. It might be an idea that when Leanne is spending time with you, that you spell out exactly why Kate will never be invited to live with you, and do the same with your mother. Ask your mom if she had a cousin who had S with your dad, and badmouthed her to everyone. Would she be okay with them coming over and living with her afterwards? Or would she consider this cousin persona non grata? She will probably come up with the old standard, but she is family. The answer to that is that real family doesn't do that to other people in the family. So Kate is no family to you. Wonderful Set 6647 says, not the a-hole. Let her stay with your mom. Tell the other cousins that if Kate shows up, they will not be staying with you. They know that there is issues with the two of you, and you do not appreciate being tricked. Or cancel the whole trip and tell them no one can stay. My friend Anna and I were talking about her dating life. Anna is an incredibly beautiful woman, and she could have her pick of men. She broke up with her boyfriend because she was out of his league, and he knew it. He would act in insecure ways. Anna stated that she didn't want to settle for someone less than the best. She asked me why would anyone settle and brought up my marriage as a positive example of love. I told her that my husband settled for me and he wasn't attracted to me and we still had a happy marriage. Being settled for isn't the worst thing in the world. My husband Alan and I are happily married high school sweethearts. He was heavily picked on in middle and high school. When I moved into his hometown in sophomore year, I stood up for him. By the end of senior year, he had friends and asked me to prom. 10 years later, we're happily married. However, I know that my husband doesn't find me attractive. I'm naturally taller and more muscular than the average woman. It's a huge insecurity of mine. A year after we married, my husband drunkenly confessed that he didn't find me attractive. He prefers petite women with delicate facial features. But he was grateful for what I did and felt obliged to thank me, which is why he asked me out to prom, why we dated throughout college, why he proposed. He still loved me very much, but wasn't attracted to me. The next morning he was hungover and had forgotten his confession. He doesn't drink much because he doesn't have a filter and tells the unvarnished truth. I felt crushed, but our marriage was very good otherwise. I never told him what he said that night. He was a great husband. I don't think most men are attracted to the way I look anyways. I explained this all to Anna, and she was grateful for the advice. That night, Alan started crying. He was crying silently, but I woke up. I hugged him and asked what was wrong, and he admitted he overheard our conversation. I didn't expect him to overhear since I was in the basement, but he heard his name and decided to listen in. I apologized for hurting his feelings, but it just made him sob harder. I don't know what I did wrong, if I did anything wrong. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I wasn't advising Anna to settle. She would never be happy settling for anyone. I just told her that settling isn't the worst thing in the world, and my marriage is one of settlement. My husband settled for me, and we're happy. My advice was to stay true to herself and her beliefs. If she's not happy, then the relationship can't move forward. Maybe a lot of people won't agree with me, but I personally think that attraction is very important in a relationship and marriage. I do wonder if his lack of physical attraction to OP could be something that's been bothering him more as time goes on, and perhaps he feels guilty for that and unhappy. I know it sounds terrible, but this can be a legit deal breaker in a lot of relationships eventually. I would be kind of worried that he's been considering separation. Also, the fact that OP thinks most men won't be attracted to her is gut-wrenching. Everyone deserves to feel desired, and OP doesn't need every man to be attracted to her, just one. I think OP deserves better. And apologized for hurting his feelings? What about the obvious elephant in the room here? And now let's see if the community agrees with my opinion on the matter. Standard 5891 says, not the a-hole, but you need to talk to your husband about this. Either he is really struggling with guilt about his confession, or is really triggered with unhappiness in the relationship. And either way, you two need to talk about it. Also, whew, you are a saint for dealing with that confession so gracefully. Low-key Hobby says, I hope Anna did not take your advice. 'Cause, this man admitted he felt obligated to ask you out and pretty much settled on dating, marrying you, and then you apologize to him? Big Rotten Tuna says, I think you have it backwards. You're actually the one who settled. He got a big, beautiful, kind, compassionate goddess of a woman. You got a doofus who is apparently too dense to see it. And FYI, there are plenty of men who find tall, muscular women to be hot as hell. About 5 years ago, I was engaged, and my then fiancé ran off with my best friend and roommate. This led to all sorts of bad things happening. A few months later, my brother got married to his longtime fiancé, and I found my ex was the maid of honor at his wedding, and he made the guy she ran off with his best man. Ever since then, I've refused to have anything to do with my brother. Recently, my brother and his wife had a baby, and due to some postpartum issues, my mother has been caring for the child. So recently, my fiancé went dress shopping and invited her mom, my mom, and her wedding party. Apparently, during the drive, my mother started talking about how I should have just forgot what happened, forgive my brother and move on. When I was told this, I lost it. I told my mother I would never invite my brother and that he has no place in my life. He's not a brother to me. She also thinks that because my other brother in Germany is coming, that my younger brother deserves to see him. I said that's up to him, but not at my wedding. My fiancé says I should bury the hatchet because it's not fair that my nephew will never know me. I said if the child reaches out to me later in life, I'm fine with that. But I stood my ground about not letting my brother attend the wedding or be a part of my life. This has been going on for months, and it seems like everyone is leaning to his side. Am I really the a-hole here? Edit. For everyone asking if he's ever apologized, he hasn't. One year he did have my mother give me a Christmas present. It was a doormat with my name on it. I thought it was insulting. My mother said it was him trying to extend an olive branch. Edit 2. For those asking about my relationship prior, my brother and I had a healthy relationship prior to this. The general thought process is that his wife didn't have a lot of friends here, so my ex was one of her only local friends. She would be the maid of honor. Douchebag was her new boyfriend, so my ex wanted to walk the aisle with him, so made him the best man. Obviously, this was never going to sit well with me, so the easy thing to do was to not invite me. I'm guessing they thought I would just let it go, as I'm usually a mild person. Not the a-hole. Excuse me? He made that guy his best man and called OP a doormat? Did I miss something? Why on earth would OP ever want to see him? OP has a boundary, and it's so absolutely perfectly fine that OP holds it. Colt Queen says, not the a-hole. He gave you a doormat as an olive branch? A doormat? A very telling gift. The Last Librarian 1 says, not the a-hole. I can understand how you feel. He just piled on additional betrayal and hurt onto you. I would also highly recommend couples therapy to help your fiancé understand that this is a hard boundary and a betrayal you will not be badgered into forgiving. Kara 18455 says, not the a-hole. Your brother didn't give a flying duck about you and the pain those people had chosen to cause you. Why should you let someone like that be in your life or in your wedding? People are taking his side because it's easier to try to get people to do that than to deal with the fact that your brother is a massive, gaping a-hole. About a month before my niece's 4th birthday, I text my sister about a potential gift for her. My sister enthusiastically agrees that it would be a good gift. I buy it. About a week later, on Thanksgiving, I inquire about when the birthday party is taking place, and my sister does not have concrete details, but will inform me when things are more figured out. Fast forward about a week, and I see photos from the party on Facebook. Not trying to sound overly virtuous, but I always try to be as clear and direct as possible with these kinds of things. I also avoid insults and do my best not to sound passive-aggressive. So I text my sister later that day that I'm disappointed that she didn't let me know about the party, especially after talking about it twice. She proceeds to send me a wall of text about how the mix of her work schedule, family drama, and the fact that she lives an hour away meant that she relied on the rest of the family to inform me of all the details. The catch is, she never asked them to, so they didn't. I reply by pointing the fact out. She then, in about 12 sentences, says that she has too much going on in her life to be catching crap for this, and doesn't need me coming at me and adding drama to my life. I simply state that none of that is a good enough reason for simply not sending a text. This dispute ended when a block became warranted because my texts were easily outnumbered 5-1, and she just wouldn't stop. I didn't even receive an apology until about 9 texts in, and it was an "I'm sorry you feel that way." And fun fact, with the exception of the fight, this same thing happened last year as well. I would just save the gift for Christmas, but because my niece's birthday is so close to Christmas, I bought gifts for both occasions at the same time. I can't just double up on her Christmas gift, because she would be getting twice as much as my other nieces, and I don't think that's fair. And since I received nothing but indignation from my sister, I don't feel obligated to make the hour trip to make sure my niece receives her gift. So I figure I should just take it back to the store. That $30 will actually go a long way for easing the financial burden of the holidays for me. Am I the a-hole for wanting to return the gift? Update. My niece is 4 years old, a child. My relationship with her is entirely dependent on my sister. If I ever want to just go see her, or if my niece ever says, "I want to see Uncle Terry's nerd stuff," it won't mean anything without my sister's say-so. Between my sister and her ex, my niece's father, who I have only met 2 times total, my chances to have any kind of relationship with my niece, in spite of her parents, are 0. If my sister denies me the opportunity to actually be an uncle, there's nothing I can do. And I'm certainly not going to waste money for it, because at this point, gift-giving can't be an expression of my relationship to my niece. It's an obligation. Since that is the case, no invite, no gift. I don't offer that kind of courtesy to other people's kids, so why should I do the same for my sister and her kid if she's keen on staying at arm's length? Also, to everyone saying an hour drive isn't that much, you're right, it's not. But if what's waiting for me upon arrival is a complete chore, then the distance becomes much more excruciating. Listrian says, "Not the a-hole. If your niece doesn't know about the gift, she'll never miss it." Dobby's Reward says, "Not the a-hole. Your niece is 4. She already has tons of presents from her birthday and will be getting more at Christmas. She won't miss this toy." Hydro123 says, "Not the a-hole. A 4-year-old isn't going to know that you didn't give her a gift. You should have told your sister that it would have been a lot faster to send you a text about the party than to make up 6 pages of lame excuses." My sister's been divorced from her husband for about 2 months now, and as someone who's never been married, I can only imagine how hard it must be for her. However, she continues to check her ex-husband's Gmail daily. He used to log in from her laptop and will share things with me like, "Oh, he's on a dating app," or "Look, he bought new clothes." Also, she still pretends she's married to him when her colleagues ask about her ex. To be fair, their marriage only lasted about 1.5 years, so she feels embarrassed to tell her colleagues. I told her to just let the cat out of the bag because she's only causing herself undue stress. She's doing great for herself otherwise. She recently bought a home and started personal training. However, every couple of days I get an update about what her ex is up to, and when I tell her that what she's doing isn't healthy, she claims she's not attached to him and that it's not affecting her. She won't listen to me when I tell her to log out and mind her business. She uses the excuse that her ex still uses her mailing address, and so she wants to keep tabs on him. I call BS on that because I've already put his mail in the return mail a few times, and nothing has arrived since. I just think it's incredibly detrimental to her healing journey, and so this morning, I decided to log on to her computer and log out of his Gmail. I also deleted the saved password. She doesn't know it, so she can't log back in. She's upset with me now and said I had no right to do what I did. I didn't apologize because I genuinely don't feel sorry, but I know that I overstepped my boundaries. I just can't stand the thought of her ex going on dates while she's at home checking his email account for updates. Am I the a-hole here? Micah Elise 8954 says, I wouldn't even say you crossed her boundaries. She was crossing his boundaries by logging into his email without his consent, let alone even knowing. Those are a his boundaries thing, not a her boundaries thing. You say what now? Says, I don't think you're the a-hole, though from her perspective, I can understand that you stepped over boundaries. I think you did the right thing for her mental health though, not the a-hole. Bitter Pen 4530 says, not the a-hole, she's being toxic to him and herself. Anyone that says you are the a-hole would invade his privacy the same way and think it was okay. That's stalker level crap.